Thanks for joining us today. As a way of introduction, I have met some of you in person, but not all of you. So my name is Dave Ulmer, and I'm the Chief Product and Technology Officer with EnergyCAP. I've been with EnergyCAP for, well, actually in 2 months, it'll be 10 years. And I've had the great privilege of working with a number of customers. Some of you I may have actually worked on implementations. I used to be in the implementation team. And now I'm responsible for our team that thinks about what are the products that we're developing, what are the features, the updates, the things that we're adding to our platform that add the most value for each of you, and really making sure that we're delivering on our promise to provide outstanding software and services to each of your organizations. And I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. So this is the first of 3 sessions that we're going to be holding during the next 3 weeks, which are little snapshots of some things that we did cover at the Catalyst conference that we had here in the State College area, and that's where I am in our Boalsburg office in April. And what we're trying to do is help disseminate some of the information that we heard. Folks said, wow, that'd be really great if more people could hear about that. So there's no way we can cover everything that we did at Catalyst, and that's a great reason to attend some of the road shows that are going to be coming up in September. But we did want to cover a couple of key themes. And today I'm going to be focusing on the next generation of EnergyCAP. And where are we going? What are some of the things that we've done recently, as well as where we're going? And we know that a number of our customers receive regular updates through our Catalyst conferences. We used to hold them every year, and then we held one in 2018, and we had no idea that would be the last one we were going to be able to hold for 5 years. And as a result, what we learned is that a number of customers didn't necessarily know about some of the great things that are already at their disposal. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those features and things that you could start using today, right at the end of this call. And we're also going to talk a little bit about where are we headed next and make sure that you've got a good idea of ways that you could get the most value out of the EnergyCAP platform. So with that, I'm going to jump to our agenda for today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the past. We're going to look at EnergyCAP's legacy, as well as what we see as the bright future for where we're headed. We're going to talk about the last 5 years of development. Like I said, there are a number of folks who may not have been as in touch with some of the great things that we've been able to make available within the platform. We want to highlight a few of those today. We're not going to have time to cover all of them, but we're going to highlight a few of them that we think you might get some value out of. And then we're going to talk about going beyond the EnergyCAP product and talk about our 2 new products that have just become available within the last 12 months. And then we're going to wrap up with where are we headed next? Where are the next steps in terms of EnergyCAP's continued evolution and growth? As we talked before, I'll just mention it again. If you do have questions along the way, please do post those into the Q&A. Lalit is here to help answer some of those live. There are others that we may answer audibly as well, but please make sure that if you have a question as we go through, post it to the Q&A so that we have an opportunity to address that. I'm going to try to leave some time at the end of the presentation too. So let's jump in by talking about EnergyCAP's legacy as well as our bright future. So many of you are aware of this, but EnergyCAP, our history of software development in helping customers meet their energy and sustainability goals is over 40 years long. In fact, it was 1982 when the first version of Phaser, the precursor to EnergyCAP, became available to customers. And during that 40 years, we've seen a lot of evolution, a lot of things that we've developed, new things that we've added based on feedback from our customers and continuing to evolve and make the platform relevant to others. And that's been really exciting. You'll notice that the boxes kind of start to get closer together over the last decade. In fact, the last 10 years has involved a lot of new innovation and solutions. And I consider myself fortunate to have been here during that time to see a number of these roll out and see our customers take advantage of those. So the first one, I'm just going to highlight a couple of those kind of big developments that have happened over the last 10 years. One is our bill capture offering. The ability for us to process utility bills on behalf of our customers and get complete and accurate data into the EnergyCAP platform so that you can spend your time doing analysis and really finding where there may be problems or opportunities rather than spending your time on data entry. That's been a game changer for our customers who are taking advantage of bill capture. Many of them said it's kind of transformed the way they use EnergyCAP because they have so much more time to really focus on opportunities for their organizations and opportunities for savings. So that was a big one. Report Designer BI. This launched during COVID. So if you didn't hear anything about this, as a quick overview, Report Designer BI is the next evolution in our Report Designer capabilities. We used to have a product, Report Designer, that was an Excel plugin, and that was really valuable. We had a number of customers who used it, but there were some technical limitations to Excel that made that difficult, especially for customers who had large data sets. So what we did is we took a step back and we said, what is it that we really want to deliver with the latest, greatest technologies? Report Designer BI is an example of that. And in fact, the third of our 3 sessions that are coming up for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to go into Report Designer BI in more detail. But in essence, that allows our customers to have incredible access to their data sets and in ways that they can connect it with other reporting and dashboarding tools that they may have within their organization. So really some exciting things. And it's been exciting to see our customers find new and different ways to use that to meet their needs. Like I said, I'm going to cover that more in a couple of weeks. Actually, next week, excuse me. EnergyCAP Home. So EnergyCAP Home is an entire software package that we developed and we deployed over the last 10 years that helps us manage authentication better. And it's allowed us to provide new and different services to customers. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit, but that's a whole new software package that we added onto EnergyCAP that has allowed customers to log in and have new security options and things like that just weren't there before. We also have really doubled down in terms of security. And over the past 10 years, in fact, over the last 5 years, we've been certified to serve federal agencies of the US government through the FedRAMP program. We also have received our SOC 2 Type 2 certification, verifying that our processes and techniques for providing SaaS and through our hosting model is secure, and having that third party do an audit and a continual audit. This isn't just a one-time investment. This is continual investment to demonstrate our commitment to security. And another is the launch of the EnergyCAP utility platform. In 2022, we launched this completely new product that supports utility providers who want to make data accessible to their customers, and in particular, provide that data to them, not only for reporting and analytics, but also to connect to Energy Star. And that's really supporting some state goals across the country in terms of being able to get greater access to data, to be able to understand the energy impacts and the carbon impacts that are happening within their territories. So there's a lot that we've been doing in the last 10 years. And it feels like, just as with many things, you've got that exponential curve. The last 12 months have been really exciting around here. First, in August, we announced EnergyCAP's purchase of Wattics. Wattics is a company that has a SaaS provider of real-time analytics tools. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But Wattics has been around for more than a decade, and we had the opportunity to really bring the functionality that's available within Wattics and real-time analytics and things that many of our customers have asked for a number of years with the power of EnergyCAP, and be able to bring those together in one umbrella. So we announced that in August, and we have a number of customers who are already taking advantage of those new services. And then in February of this year, just a few months ago, we announced CarbonHub, which is a whole new set of tools and capabilities relative to financial grade carbon accounting. So not only have we expanded into the utility provider area, but we've added 2 completely new products. So it's been busy around here, but busy in a really good way. And that's part of what we're going to talk through in our discussion today. So when we think about EnergyCAP, perhaps your organization has used EnergyCAP in kind of a very focused solution, single solution area. We want to make you aware that EnergyCAP has really expanded our capabilities to become an energy and sustainability ERP. We want to be that single source of truth for all of your energy and sustainability data. And now we have the products and the services that are available to help support you in that. So if we start all the way on the right, Wattics gives us the capability to allow our customers to track real-time data and do real-time energy and sustainability analytics. You can connect to submeters, you can connect to building automation systems, you can connect to other devices and bring that data in and do real-time analysis. And not just do the analysis yourself. one of the powerful parts of that tool is allowing it to do the analysis for you and alert you to the items that you should spend your time and energy on. But that brings a whole new set of capabilities to our energy and sustainability ERP. The EnergyCAP product, the one that most of you are most familiar with, we've continued to evolve that, and we're going to talk more about some of the enhancements there. But as you're aware, EnergyCAP is really that portfolio level view of your energy and sustainability reporting. It allows you to see multiple buildings, multiple campuses, multiple locations. It allows you to roll up your data in many different ways, do benchmarking across facilities, meters, vendors, et cetera. So EnergyCAP really is that thing that brings it all together so that you can tell your story well. And Wattics and EnergyCAP play together very nicely. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. And then, as we mentioned, we've added CarbonHub, which is the financial grade greenhouse gas accounting product. And what we wanted to do there is provide the same type of reliability, consistency, traceability that we've provided for years with our billing products within the EnergyCAP product into the space of carbon reporting, because we know that that's more and more important to our customers. It's going to only increase in importance as time goes by. So we wanted to provide something that you could trust, that you are familiar with, leveraging many of the capabilities and types of solutions that you've grown accustomed to with the EnergyCAP platform throughout our last 40 years. Now, we've been busy, but we know you've been busy too. So since the last time we held a live Catalyst event, I want to give you a little snapshot of some of the things our customers are doing and tracking within EnergyCAP. In fact, over the last 5 years, over 42 million vendor bills were tracked in the EnergyCAP product, and they were worth over 87 billion US dollars. And that includes, in addition to that, I should say, in addition to that, we tracked over 6 million chargeback bills, tenant allocations or campus allocations or district energy suppliers providing detailed information to their occupants. So you guys have been busy, and it's really been a pleasure to see how you've used the EnergyCAP product to support you in that way. I mentioned the bill capture service and the ability for us to bring data into the EnergyCAP platform on behalf of our customers. Over the past 5 years, we processed over 4 million bills worth over $12 billion. So there's an incredible amount of volume that we see on a month-by-month basis that's going through the bill capture platform. And that continues to grow month over month. In fact, we've processed over 1 million bills during the last 12 months alone. And when we talk about integrating with accounting platforms and some of the benefits of being able to have that single source of truth in EnergyCAP, and then being able to provide that directly to your accounting system for payment, we've also passed over 10 million bills from the EnergyCAP platform into AP systems just within the last 5 years. So you've all been busy too. We know the pressures have been mounting for all of us to do more with less, and we're excited to see how our customers have used EnergyCAP to support them in those goals. So that's a little bit about our history, and also some excitement about where we can go now that we have some additional products and services that we brought together into this energy and sustainability ERP. Now, I'd like to drill in a little bit and talk about the last 5 years of development within EnergyCAP, because that seems to be some of the features and things that most people just aren't familiar with. So I want to make sure we take some time to go over this. And let me start by saying, even if you weren't aware of all these things, we have been providing a lot of new features and services in the EnergyCAP platform. This is not all of them. This is just a sampling. I didn't have enough room to put it in a font that would be readable. So these are just a highlight of some of the features and enhancements that we've been making to the EnergyCAP product over the last 5 years. And in fact, what I've done here, highlighting in green, are functionality or features that are completely brand new or are significant improvements over prior versions to EnergyCAP. So yes, we continue to maintain our products and services, but I want you to know that we're continuing to add more and more value to the platform. And we want to make sure you're aware of that so that you can take advantage of these new features. So I'm going to highlight just a few sets of these that kind of flow together. And I wanted to start by just mentioning the enhancements that we've made to our accounting export functionality. Now, that's functionality that existed in the version 6 product, and kind of a lightweight version of it existed in the version 3 product. But in the latest version of EnergyCAP, We've significantly enhanced the capabilities for you to choose what you want to export to an accounting platform, the traceability of what has been exported, and the ability to roll back exports as well very easily in case you run into a problem and you need to reprocess. Again, excuse me for a second. So we've enhanced those capabilities and provided a lot of transparency. You can now re-download files that have been exported so that if you need to run them through, or even from an auditing perspective, you need to be able to get back to what you exported to an accounting platform on a particular date. That's a capability that's available now within the EnergyCAP product. Our second set of changes I want to highlight is relative to chargebacks. So at our 2018 Catalyst event, we were able to announce a significant rewrite of our chargeback engine with new capabilities with bill splits, loss and remainder calculations, summary calculations, lots of new features that were available with the ability to do chargebacks and tenant billing. But we didn't stop there. We continued to enhance that over the last 5 years, including some new capabilities to make it even easier and to be able to accept more data types and provide more configuration options to customers throughout the process. I mentioned EnergyCAP Home as one of the technologies that we've developed to enhance our ability to control secured logins and capabilities. And along with that, we implemented a standardized single sign-on approach, that our customers can now plug their own authentication into. Excuse me for a moment. Must have had too much yelling at my kids' swim meet last night. So we now have the capability to connect directly to your own authentication services so that you can use the same logins that you use within your organizations to log into EnergyCAP. And that also allows you to take advantage of some particular additional services that are available. Let me describe how one of our customers is using this today. We have a university customer who wanted to provide read-only access to all students on campus. Lilette, I'm going to ask you to take over for just a second here while I get a drink.
Yeah. So what Dave was trying to explain is we have one of our customers who wanted to give access to all the information to everybody on their campus. So it's not just the domain of facilities, but including staff and even students. So they created a certain section of the application that is available as read-only to anybody that has the SSO account created for the university. And when somebody logs in for the first time into EnergyCAP, they actually get an account created automatically for that particular user, and they are able to then see some of the information that the campus is interested in sharing with all the campus community.
Thank you, Lilith. Yes, so this feature has allowed them to provide EnergyCAP access to thousands of people with no additional work. So once you connect a single sign-on with EnergyCAP Home, you can choose whether or not you would allow anyone within your organization to have an account auto-created. If they click on, let's say, an intranet site that has a link to EnergyCAP, then they just log in and they can have an account auto-created for them. They can log in with the permissions that you provide to them. This has been used by a number of our larger customers to provide greater transparency and access to data through logins that customers already have. So that's a really powerful feature. And if that's of interest to you, please reach out to us because we can help you walk through the process of setting that up. But that's standardized functionality that's available now through EnergyCAP and EnergyCAP Home. Next, we've made a complete redo of our connection to Energy Star. We rewrote it, providing new capabilities, simplifying the process if you're brand new to the Energy Star process and submitting data to Portfolio Manager, or maybe you're a longtime user of that. We've simplified the process, including things like auto submit. So now you can set up your buildings and have EnergyCAP automatically attempt a submission to Energy Star on a nightly basis. So some really exciting things there to simplify the process. We've made some huge changes to the way we handle users within the platform. And one of these in particular that I really want to point out is multi-topmost permissions. This request has been one that I've heard since I joined EnergyCAP as a project manager. The ability to say, I don't want to structure my tree in such a way that I have to follow that, so it's the only way I can give access where I want. I'd love to be able to pick particular buildings or sets of my tree and give access to people that way. Multi-topmost permissions, this is in your databases today, allows you to pick and choose which parts of your tree, both on the facility side and the accounting side, that you'd like to have your, users have access to. Sorry, Lynette, I'm going to need you to fill in one more time for me.
Happy to do that, Dave. Take your time. So, and as we continue to evolve the application, we wanted to make sure that a lot of times when you have that responsibility to make sure that as a financial grade application, we are making sure that good data stays in the application. We wanted to add that functionality to make sure that you don't have to sift through all the data, but the application will find those things that are outliers and help you look at the small section of the haystack to find the needle rather than looking through the whole haystack. So we've added a lot of functionality when it comes to bill audits, bill flags, whether the data is coming through bill capture process or it's a chargeback bill, it doesn't really matter. The bill audits and the flags work the same way.
Thanks, Lynette. And we really have enhanced the types of audits that are available with more intelligence, trying to help save you time by making sure that what we highlight for you are things that your organization really cares about and deserve your attention. Thank you, Lynette. So that's just a quick summary of some, not all, but some of the features that we've developed in the EnergyCAP platform over the last 5 years. And now what I'd like to do is turn our attention to some of these new things that maybe you haven't heard much about or haven't been able to watch one of our webinars about. Let's talk a little bit about how Wattics and CarbonHub add on to that capability that's available today with EnergyCAP in terms of that overall energy and sustainability ERP. So again, as a reminder, Wattics provides that real-time energy and sustainability analytics. And then on the other end, CarbonHub provides the financial grade carbon accounting. So let's talk for a moment about Wattics. As I mentioned, Wattics is a product that's been around for more than 10 years. And it's also a SaaS product that's available. And it really provides an incredible level of visibility into how your particular facilities and operations are being managed and how they're operating on a day-by-day basis. You can capture data from many different sources, not simply submeters. And you can see here just a list of a sampling of some of the different sources that can use. Really, Wattics can handle any data stream of data that's coming in. What we're looking for is time series data that you can use and compare to do analysis. It gives you the capability to monitor and intelligently monitor. As I mentioned before, one of the things we don't want to do is just throw a bunch of data at our customers and say, go handle it. What we want to do is provide automatic capabilities that allow you to be notified when things look abnormal. So for instance, some of the capabilities within Wattics include automatic load profiling and being able to subscribe to alerts when current usage patterns deviate from historic expected data loads or load data, excuse me. There's also robust analysis tools that are available within Wattics that allow you to take a look historically at the data that you have. Here's an example of a heat map, but it goes beyond that. You can take that historic data and run what-if analyses to be able to prove out return on investment, to be able to prove out why you should change operations or take certain actions to manage your buildings in a different way. Those are all capabilities of the Wattics platform. And as I mentioned before, Wattics has the capability to interact with many different data sources and data types. This is just a sampling of some of the devices and ways and means that our customers are already bringing data into the Wattics platform. But you can directly connect to hardware. You can use APIs, you can use files, you can have other integrations. Again, many different things that we've already connected to, and we're continuing to expand this list month over month as we continue to integrate with new and different systems. So lots of opportunities. If you have the ability to tap into time series data, we can find a way to help you get that data into the Wattics platform. We aren't going to spend a ton of time talking about Wattics today, but we have a number of webinars that we've already held, and we have some other ones that we'll be holding in the near future, where we can take more of a deep dive into the capabilities that are there. You can see here just some of the capabilities that are available within the platform. But if this is of interest to you, either reach out to us or watch one of our upcoming webinars that's available to really see how using your real-time data can make a huge change on the way that you operate your facilities and the energy efficiency and the savings that you can drive for your organizations. So we're excited to provide that. But wait, there's more. Wattics isn't just a standalone product. Wattics is integrated into EnergyCAP, and you can directly link your EnergyCAP and Wattics buildings and facilities together and your meters together. So if you're a customer who's using both the EnergyCAP platform and Wattics, you have the capability to link those items together so that you could maybe start at the macro view, and you're looking at EnergyCAP and you're identifying facilities or meters where you'd like to have more information, and you can go directly to those meters or facilities within the Wattics tool and go look at the real-time data and go look at what happened on a particular day or over a particular period of time. Or maybe you're starting at the micro level and you're looking at individual devices or particular systems within your buildings, and then you want to see, okay, well, let's see how that has impacted our energy bills. You can link directly from Wattics back into EnergyCAP and take a look at the utility bills associated with those particular platforms. So some really exciting things that you can do when you connect EnergyCAP and Wattics together, and you're getting value, a combined value out of the products that you can't get with them individually by themselves. This one's really exciting for our customers who are using interval data today to generate chargeback bills. This is already deployed, it's live, it's available for any of our customers who are using both Wattics and EnergyCAP. You can bring interval data from your Wattics meters into the chargeback engine and generate bills at the end of the month based off data that you're collecting and viewing in Wattics. So you get the benefit of all that real-time analysis that we've talked about. You're able to look at the data live. You're able to get notified of when devices go offline. You're able to get notified of particular patterns that look unusual. And at the end of the month, that data can also be used to generate tenant bills or to be used in other facility calculations in order to support accounting that you might need to do within your campuses or for your tenants, et cetera. So this is really exciting because you're not having to duplicate work. And that's really been at the core of who EnergyCAP is as a company for many years, is that we want to simplify processes for you. We don't want you to waste time on process. We want you to spend that time getting value out of analysis and taking actions. And when you combine Wattics and EnergyCAP together, you get the best of both worlds, having visibility, having alerting and alarming on that type of real-time data, and being able to double dip into the value of that data in the chargeback engine in terms of being able to generate tenant bills, chargeback bills, et cetera. So this is really exciting. And this isn't vaporware. This is live and being used by customers today. So that's a little bit about Wattics and the value that Wattics brings as that real-time data analysis tool. Let's go to CarbonHub. As we mentioned, CarbonHub was released in February of this year. And CarbonHub provides you with reliable, auditable information that can be used to support your carbon accounting needs. That's why we call it our financial grade greenhouse accounting platform, greenhouse gas accounting platform. You get to benefit from all of those things that you've come to know and love within EnergyCAP, the ability to see who has access to data, control access permissions, see a record of from start to finish of where the data started and how the data was calculated to come to the final results, and then get the benefit of all of the reporting and charting and dashboarding that you've come to know and love within the EnergyCAP platform. That exists within CarbonHub too. So what is CarbonHub? Well, it calculates your scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions. And I'll show you a little bit about some of the ways that we're doing that and the options that are available. You can target based off historic performance and see how you're progressing towards your goals. And also reporting, as I mentioned, the same type of reporting capabilities that you've grown to know within EnergyCAP with our power views and charts, the ability to export data, to report on data, to dashboard data, make data publicly available. All of those capabilities exist within the CarbonHub tool as well. So with CarbonHub, you can combine your utility bill data and your non-utility bill data together to create your greenhouse gas impacts. So when we're talking about utility data, primarily your scope 1 and scope 2 data, we can automatically convert that using either standard or customized factors into greenhouse gas emissions for reporting. So you only enter the data once, but that same data drives your energy reporting, it drives your cost reporting, and it drives your greenhouse gas reporting. But there are also other things that are not utility-based. When we talk about travel and commuting, and we talk about other scope 3 impacts, upstream and downstream impacts, those can also all be tracked within CarbonHub and reported on right next to the carbon data that's coming from your utility bills. You can see here a couple of examples of that. You can track fleet data, commuting data from your employees, business travel. We can do currency and cost-based reporting. So if you know what you spent on a particular type of product or input to a process, we have factors within CarbonHub that allow you to take that and translate it into scope 3 reporting data. The ability to track capital purchases, offsets, renewable energy credits, and many, many more things. In fact, the list is truly unlimited. You can create as many different types of things that you want to track with many factors that we're maintaining for you automatically in the background, and with the ability to create your own custom factors as necessary. And as I've mentioned several times, CarbonHub comes with the same enterprise features that you've grown accustomed to within the EnergyCAP platform. Security permissions, user roles, being able to trace your data end to end, reporting, dashboarding, analysis. These are all capabilities that are available within the CarbonHub platform. And we're really excited about that because we understand how important understanding your footprint, your carbon footprint is to each and every organization. And we also realize that many people who are responsible for this reporting didn't necessarily ask to do it. We know many energy managers, or maybe even some of the finance managers who are dealing with utility bills, who have been given this task, the task of calculating this, because we know of the impact of utilities on greenhouse gas emissions. We want to make sure that we're providing tools that you can understand and quickly use to get to reliable, accurate information on the other end. There are lots of other features that are available within the CarbonHub product. Again, we've had a number of webinars already. We'll be having some more coming up as well. So if you want more information, you can also reach out to us. We'd be happy to give you a demo. These are just some of the additional features that are available within the CarbonHub platform. But wait, there's even more, because it's not just EnergyCAP and CarbonHub. It's not just EnergyCAP and Wattics. All three of these products play together. So in fact, you can take data from your facilities. You can be bringing real-time data in, getting the value of real-time analysis from Wattics. That data can feed into the EnergyCAP platform and be used for chargeback billing or tenant billing and reporting or financial analysis. And that same data can then also be used to generate your greenhouse gas emissions. So again, what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of inputs that you have to manage. We're trying to simplify and give you access to the data at the levels that you need, and make sure that across the EnergyCAP, Energy and Sustainability ERP, that data can be used for the purposes you need for reporting and analysis, dashboarding, et cetera. So those are just some of the ways that you can go beyond historic ways that you've used EnergyCAP by using the Wattics product and the CarbonHub product. There are many others, and I would encourage you to attend some of those webinars or reach out to our sales team if you'd like to know more about either of those products. So finally, the last topic I wanted to talk about today is Okay, that's great. We just talked about Wattics and the cool and new things you can do with that. We've talked about CarbonHub and the cool and new things that we can do with that. What about EnergyCAP? Where are we going with the EnergyCAP product? Where are we headed next with EnergyCAP? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we're headed next with both EnergyCAP and the CarbonHub products to give you a sense of what you can expect to see over the next 12 months. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about how CarbonHub is continuing to evolve. As I mentioned, we launched it in February, but we are not nearly done with the capabilities that we want to continue to add, because this is a space that's continuing to evolve, both in the United States, in North America, and around the world. So we want to continue to evolve the CarbonHub product so that we can be that single source of truth for your organizations. So one of the ways that we're doing that is by making CarbonHub a standalone application. Today, CarbonHub is essentially tethered with EnergyCAP. If you want CarbonHub right now, you'll also need to be using EnergyCAP to help manage that data. But that's only for the next couple of months. At the end of the summer, CarbonHub will be an independent application. That means that you could give someone access only to CarbonHub. You can even have people that are only using CarbonHub to track data, and they may not be using EnergyCAP to process any utility bills. So that will be coming later at the end of the summer, that CarbonHub will be its own standalone application. It will still play with all the other products, just like we talked about, but you'll also have the capability to log in directly to that. Along with that are some additional enhancements, including the ability to have a separate hierarchy for sustainability. So our EnergyCAP customers are familiar with the idea of having the accounting team or the finance team being able to manage their data in a hierarchy that makes sense for them, while the facility and the building management team can organize data in a way that makes sense for them. Now we're adding a third hierarchy, which is the ability for sustainability teams to be able to organize sustainability data in a way that makes sense for them. So that's coming as CarbonHub becomes a standalone product. So along with it will come this new capability to have a sustainability hierarchy and be able to manage data in a different way than any of the other ways that we presented it within the EnergyCAP product historically. We're going to have dedicated screens for entering data so that when you're entering carbon data, it doesn't look like you're entering a bill. You're able to enter data in a way that makes sense and is simplified. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a moment. There are many factors that we have already loaded into CarbonHub databases for customers, but we're continuing to expand that list. Literally every single week, we're adding more and more default factors. And those aren't just factors for the United States. Those are factors that are global. We're talking about cost-based factors from different government agencies, from independent sources. So as a CarbonHub subscriber, not only are you getting the product, but you're also getting all of this continually fed data to help translate the data and make sure your organization is current with the latest standards. We have the ability to auto-create emission sources based on billing data, a bunch of new things that are going to happen, even collecting data from suppliers. So we're really excited, not only in what's going to come when CarbonHub is its own application later this summer, but also for things that we have beyond that as well, as we think about forecasting and modeling into the future. So instead of just telling you about it, I thought it would be nice to show you what we mean when we talk about CarbonHub as a separate application. And first, I'm going to start by saying some of our motivation for this. So for those of you who may already be using EnergyCAP to track especially non-utility bills for carbon reporting, you'll know that there's some things that might feel a little weird because the primary data entry into EnergyCAP is bill-based. So here we have the bill entry screen from EnergyCAP. But if we really distill this down to the items that are required when you're tracking emissions data, it's a much smaller list that you need to track. You need to know the when, you need to know the source, and you need to know how much. Well, that's a lot simpler than just a utility bill. And in fact, if we take those different elements and we bring those together, we can create a much more simplified way to get emissions data into CarbonHub. And that's what the team has been working on implementing. And this will become part of the CarbonHub product as it becomes a standalone application later this year. So now what you can see are fields that are really dedicated to carbon tracking. Can you still track carbon from utility bills? Absolutely. But now you have a simplified way to get other types of data into the CarbonHub platform, including the ability to have direct emissions. Maybe somebody has already given you a pre-calculated number. Maybe it's a supplier, or maybe it's a shipping partner downstream, and they've already done calculations for their greenhouse gas impacts. You can simply record that information and assign it to the proper scope and category that's required without having to put in all the extra details. So let's say that you are tracking something that's not a utility bill. Let's use an example of, let's say, commuting. You'll have the ability to select an emission source, in this case, employee commuting data, provide the date ranges for that particular item that you're tracking. And then you'll notice that as you select information, CarbonHub is intelligent enough to be able to help direct you towards the types of things that you should collect for that type of data source. So here you can see that we are tracking this to employee commuting, that our resource is ground transportation, and you have the option here to change any of these things. If you're not tracking in the US, maybe you're tracking in a different country, or maybe you're tracking in a different method rather than passenger miles. Maybe you're tracking the amount of fuel used. All of that information can be entered in. In this case, we can record something that's miles, has no cost or anything else that would be on a utility bill. We can save this information, and in CarbonHub, that will create a new record. And you'll see some similarities, but also some differences between the way CarbonHub looks and the EnergyCAP product. First off, you'll see there's a brand new hierarchy available here. That's that sustainability hierarchy that I was mentioning just a moment ago that allows sustainability teams to organize data based on emission source. You'll be able to see records of information that have very detailed and specific greenhouse gas data on them. So in this case, you can see that record we just created. You can see the details of it. You can see the factors that are involved, the source gases, as well as the converted CO2 equivalent that comes as part of the CarbonHub calculations. We've also designed brand new data lists that provide many options for flexibility to be able to find the exact set of data that you want to report on. You may have different reporting needs for stakeholders, for internal purposes, for public, et cetera. So we're providing new lists to be able to track your emissions data and be able to easily filter that using a lot of the same mechanisms and devices that you're familiar with in the EnergyCAP product. We're bringing those into the CarbonHub space, but providing them with a very focused carbon looking look and feel so that you feel like you're tracking the right type of information. You're no longer tracking utility bills, you're tracking emissions data within CarbonHub. So that's just a quick peek of where we're headed with CarbonHub. Again, end of this summer is when we plan to launch this as an independent product. And for any of our customers who are already using CarbonHub today, this will simply pop out as another option that's available to you. Again, behind the scenes, it's integrated with the EnergyCAP and Wattics platform. So the data will continue to flow between, but it provides a whole new set of reporting capabilities and analysis capabilities to your sustainability teams. So that's a little bit of where we're headed with CarbonHub. What about EnergyCAP? Where are we going next? Well, I'm going to show a couple of these features here, but we've been working on dashboard and power view refreshes. We are working on a new Energy Star report that actually goes much farther beyond Energy Star. I'm going to show that in just a second to help you understand the source of your data. We're creating a new unit system that replaces the unit system of EnergyCAP version 6 and is actually much more robust than what we had previously. So the ability to manage resources and units, the ability to manage multiple currencies in a particular database, to be able to roll multiple commodities together for reporting purposes, like all of your electric, whether that electric is from the grid or it's from solar panels, renewable sources, et cetera. You'll also have the ability to gather all of your water data, as an example, and report on it holistically, whether you're tracking that as domestic water or well water, or you have other sources like reclaimed water, you can still report all of that together. So that's a really exciting enhancement to our unit system that's coming later this year. We're also integrating the bill capture platform into the EnergyCAP product. So for those of you who are current bill capture customers, you know that there's currently a separate login to manage your bill capture data, to submit that data. We're bringing that together into the EnergyCAP product to make it a more seamless process for you so that you don't have to manage multiple logins. And we're also bringing budgeting and forecasting to EnergyCAP. Some of you use some of our legacy options that were available for that. We are looking at ways to make budgeting easier than ever, to be able to use your historic data to help you forecast future performance and be able to set some particular assumptions that allow you to report on that data ongoing. So here is a quick example of some of the things that we're looking to do with the unit system replacement, allowing you to manage units and resources within the EnergyCAP product. Lots of new options for managing conversions, things like that, being able to add new commodities on the fly very easily within the product, no involvement of EnergyCAP staff, et cetera, to make that happen. Also, the ability to have data-effective unit conversions. That's something that, especially in the natural gas arena, people have asked for quite a while. So we have the ability now to create multiple conversion factors, have them be data-effective as well, and many other features that are available as part of that particular set of enhancements. I mentioned a new Energy Star report, and specifically it's an Energy Star calendarization report, but this isn't restricted only to customers who are submitting data to Energy Star. This report will allow you to take any of your billing data and see how it translates from original source bill into calendarized data. When we talk about calendarized data, we're taking your utility bills and we're dividing those bills across the months when usage actually occurred. So if you have bills that start mid-month, we're actually doing a weather sensitivity analysis and placing usage and cost for each of your bills into the months when the usage and cost likely occurred. This report will provide a whole new level of transparency to be able to track back from calendarized data to the source bills and vice versa. This is something that we know our customers who are submitting data to Energy Star, which, by the way, is calendarized data. That's something we worked with the EPA on, and they approved that method to make things a little simpler and more transparent in terms of what is being submitted. But we know the challenge with that is I know what my calendarized data is. I can see it in Energy Star, or I can see it in EnergyCAP on my calendarized views. How do I track that back to the source bills? This report will give you the ability to do that. You'll be able to do that for use and cost. And for our CarbonHub customers, you'll also be able to do that with your greenhouse gas emissions. All of our calculations in CarbonHub for greenhouse gas are all calendarized as well, making sure that you're reporting as closely to when actual usage patterns occurred as possible. So that's an exciting new report that we're on the verge of releasing over the next couple of months. And then the last item I wanted to highlight today is some of the new and updated views that we've been making available through dashboards and maps and power views within EnergyCAP, providing more options for you to download or access the details of the data that's available in the charts and graphs and dashboards within EnergyCAP. And I'm excited to tell you that when I made this presentation at Catalyst, this was still a soon-to-come feature, but in fact, at this point, it's already available to you. So for our hosted customers, you already have access to these features today. And I wanted to take just a moment to show you some of these examples of what I'm talking about. So if we switch over to EnergyCAP, again, this is our production environment. This is currently available to customers today. One of the things that you'll note right away is on the dashboard, we've added the capability for you to take particular widgets and be able to drill into the details of those. So you can see the source data that is feeding those particular views. We're also gave you the ability to easily copy this data so that you could copy it and then paste it into a spreadsheet as an example. There are also new options that are available to edit your widgets and filters to duplicate. So if you have one that's created and that you already like, you can now duplicate those on your dashboard very easily. We've also updated some of these charts and views to make them more readable, more accessible, also giving you the ability to download a chart as an image, something that was a capability in a former version of EnergyCAP. We brought that back so that you can download that image and then maybe put it into a presentation or a report. All of those options are available to you, and you can simply export your CSV data right here from our menu that's available on each of these widgets. That capability doesn't stop at the dashboard. Those capabilities also now extend into our power views and into the charts that are driving our power views. And in fact, we've actually made more data available, more detailed data available as part of this release. So here you can see this 12-month commodity where we've listed the largest commodities, and then the smallest commodities we've grouped together into other. But if you'd like to know what those are, you can simply expand this view, and now you can see all of those different items that are adding or contributing to the other commodity area. And similar to the dashboard, you have the capabilities to download the charts as images or export the data easily to a CSV or copy it from the tables that are available. And you're going to see these new charts all over the EnergyCAP application as you go from tab to tab, as you see your calendarized, your normalized data. Even the new CarbonHub views are all driven by these new versions of charts and the capabilities that are available. So that's in your hands today. There's lots more here. If you'd like to know more about some of the great things you can do with the new reports button that's available on your Power Views, come to next week's webinar. I'll be talking more about that too. The last item I want to highlight is, if you haven't seen it yet, we also redesigned Maps. So the Maps view is totally rebuilt. We've added some items based on feedback from customers, including the ability to easily see the impact of particular facilities, and you have the choice of what type of impact you want to see. In this case, we're charting EUI, and the size of each of these bubbles is the EUI of those particular facilities. When we take any particular facility and click on it, we drill in, and we've provided new views of information to be able to quickly and easily see your most impacted commodities. We've provided information here in terms of trends, and you have the ability to customize this information as well, being able to change those map settings, decide which types of information you'd like to chart and make available, providing an incredible amount of flexibility for dashboards both within your organization and dashboards that you would share publicly. So we've got lots of new and updated features within our dashboards. I don't have enough time to talk about them. I would say that if you can come to one of our Roadshow Catalyst events, we have an entire session devoted to the enhancements to our dashboards to be able to highlight some of the new features and capabilities that are available to you in that way. So those are just some of the new features that are already available to you in EnergyCAP, as well as some that you can expect to see over the next 12 months. Whew. That was a lot. Now, I did finish in less than an hour, didn't leave a whole lot of time for Q&A. I'm happy to stay on, but we talked about EnergyCAP's past, as well as the bright future ahead, in particular, being able to expand our capabilities with our energy and sustainability ERP. We've talked about items that are new to EnergyCAP over the last 5 years, and we highlighted several of those that we hope that you're taking advantage of already. And if not, jump in, try them out today. We talked about ways that you can integrate Wattics and CarbonHub with the EnergyCAP implementation to be able to get even more value out of your data and be able to provide more analytics and to be able to tell your story better through the EnergyCAP products. And we've taken a look at where we're headed next with EnergyCAP. So if you'd like to learn more, I've mentioned a couple of ways to do that. You can definitely check out our website. You can check out some of the recordings of webinars that have happened, as well as some upcoming ones. But you can simply send an email to sales@energycap.com. We'd be happy to set up a more personalized demo, answer questions, especially if you didn't get a chance to get your questions answered here today. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lalit with Q&A.
Yeah, so we've had quite a few questions that have come in, and in the interest of time, I'm just picking 2 or 3 that we haven't answered very well online. I think it's more suitable to respond to it verbally. So one of the questions we got is, will future Energy Star integrations account for bills that are later modified or reversed?
I will say that the current Energy Star implementation already does handle that. So our current Energy Star implementation that we implemented just within the last few years automatically handles that. And you can actually view through one of our Energy Star submission screens each month of your data, and you can see if there's new or updated data, which would include voided bills, reversed bills, corrections, all of those things trigger for us, and you can visually see which months have been affected by that, where you haven't yet submitted that data to Energy Star. And if you turn on the automatic submission for Energy Star, EnergyCAP will automatically pick those things up when those types of corrections or changes come through and send those to Energy Star. So that's not something you need to wait for. That is a capability of the system today.
Excellent. The second question I have is probably very relevant because we can probably make sure we demonstrate this in next week's webinar, is in terms of sustainability and tracking data, could we leverage off these features to capture data required for stars reporting? And maybe you can speak to report 46, Dave, and maybe demonstrate it next week.
Yeah, so one of the things that we talk about some of the tenets we have at EnergyCAP. One of those is that this is your data. We are a custodian. We are providing tools and services to help you get value out of this data, but it is your data. And one of the things we did as we released CarbonHub is we released with it brand new reports that allow you to get your carbon data out in a format that makes it really easy to include in submissions like STARS, GRESB, and others, knowing that some of those different submission platforms are changing even now. And this is new and cutting edge in many ways. So we provided reports that allow you to easily get the data out in a format that you can put into the STARS submission, you can put into other formats as necessary. And as standards continue to evolve and kind of the dust settles in the industry, know that we are also going to be adding dedicated reports and export mechanisms that would match with some of the most popular reporting protocols as well. But in the interim, we've worked really hard to provide the data in a format through reports and export options that are available within CarbonHub so that you can easily take that data and put it into something like a STAR submission.
One last question is about how often do we get feature requests for the software? How long does it take to develop them? Do we build the requester and then make the upgrade available to everyone in the next version?
Oh, great question. Now, there are several questions there. So in terms of suggestions, we get them all the time. And sometimes they're small, sometimes they're large. Sometimes they come in through customer interactions that we have as we're talking with customers in regular check-ins. Sometimes they come in through events like this. Sometimes they come in through our Catalyst events. Just discussions that we have in the issue. We get a lot of suggestions all the time. And what we do is our product team takes all of those requests and they catalog them and we have them listed. And we look at them as we do prioritizations, as we do our road mapping to determine which features we believe would have the most impact on the largest number of customers. And sometimes we will reach out, which is why it's a great thing that all of you are part of our Eco Champions group, because that is a group that we're going to continue to come back to looking for suggestions and ideas and verification before we move forward. So we look at that information as we do our road mapping. We also, as we touch particular parts of our applications, look back at feature requests associated with that thing we're updating. So the unit system is a good example of that. As we've been updating the unit system, we also look back at all the feature requests that we had relative to the unit system, and we brought in as many of those as we thought we could into the plans that we already had for the unit system. So we're doing that on a regular basis. In terms of how long does it take, I can't tell you, because some features are ones that fit into the roadmap, and they, you might see that they appear within 6 months or so after a suggestion. Others might be longer, but know that those are all taken very seriously. We collect them, we keep them, we look at them, we review them on a regular basis. And the last part of your question was, when a feature is it added for everyone? And the answer to that is yes. We do not have separate versions of EnergyCAP that are for specific customers. We develop our software with the idea of build once and provide to many. So we build, if we think that something is important enough to build and we think it's valuable enough, we make those services available to our customer base. Now, some of those may have licenses that tied to them, and others, like you saw with that 5 years of innovation that we've had with EnergyCAP, almost all of those were just continued enhancements that we've made to the product based on feedback and suggestions that we've received over time.
We are over time, so I'm sure that if you have other questions, you can use the Eco Champions tool that we have now, that you can get together there and ask those questions. Or if you have specific need for doing a dedicated personalized demo, we can always get on a call. Please reach out to your account manager and we can take it from there.
Thank you, Lalit, and thank you all for your time today. It was a pleasure to have you on the line. We look forward to talking with you in the next couple of weeks as we continue to dive into some of our most popular Catalyst topics. Thank you again. Look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.